Looking for a dating experience where high standards are the norm? Welcome to Luxy, the exclusive dating platform where quality is key. With an acceptance rate of only 10 to 15%, Luxy is designed for individuals who seek meaningful connections with people who match their ambitions and lifestyle. Plus, Luxy's unique income verification feature adds an extra layer of assurance, creating a trusted environment to meet like minded singles. Join today to experience a premium approach to dating. Check the link in the description. Namaste and welcome back to another episode of The Sapient. Today, we have someone um, who is far more brighter and intelligent than me. So, with that, hi Tanya, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Ganesh, I think I said your name correctly.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
good. I'm doing well. I'm always doing well though. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
mhm.
what's with your second name or surname, right? Like Octave. It sounds so
so
cool.
it is. I don't know why. I just kind of inherited it, so that's cool. Octave is like a music note. If you're a
Yeah.
musician, I'm far from being a musician, but
Mhm.
I dabble in some I dabbled in a flute one time. I try some drums. I do some bowls, but that's probably about as close as I'm going to get to hitting an octave. But that is my last name, so. Mhm,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people are just born with such cool surnames, right?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
And then
uh,
people also marry people who have cool names, or maybe not so cool names. It depends.
so guys, here is the first pro tip from Tonya, right? If you want a cool name, marry someone with a cool surname, right?
I think there's a little bit more to it than that, but if that's one of the criteria, we probably should
Yeah.
explore it a little bit more.
Yeah, and
Mhm,
why should it matter to you, right? Yeah,
mhm.
and Tonya, like, can you help people understand, what you do and what you have been doing for the past like 20 years?
The last 40 years?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a psychotherapist, so by trade, I people come and they share with me some of their deepest stories about personal struggles
Mm-hmm.
and things that they're going through. Um, and in that process, I've learned that psychotherapy can be helpful. And then we got to add some other things. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a coach in terms of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually studied Ayurvedic medicine
Mm-hmm.
and use herbs and stuff like that in terms of healing the
Nice.
body.
Mm-hmm.
And so a coach in nutrition and a coach in meditation. And then sometimes people come to me and they say, "What's this hypnosis stuff? Can you hypnotize me?" And I said, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's see if you're ready to be hypnotized." And so I
Yeah.
also do that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So you do a lot of stuff to
Kind of like
summarize it, right?
all in the same profession. It's
Mm-hmm.
like when someone says there is something going on with them and they're dealing with something difficult, like a
Mm-hmm.
difficult relationship, for example,
Mm-hmm.
then what works for one person in terms of navigating or understanding that relationship is going to be
Mm-hmm.
different. So maybe like
Yeah.
therapy works, but maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
not therapy. Maybe it's like shooting basketball and
Mm-hmm.
hoops, like to get all that extra energy out because like maybe
Mm-hmm.
your girlfriend's driving you crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So would you say would it be fair to say that you are a one stop shop for a person?
Ooh, I don't know about one stop shop. I think I use a variety of techniques to try to
Mm-hmm.
help. But you know what? I don't help anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
always say, like, if I were working with you, Dinesh, I say, you have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to heal. I just got
Mm-hmm.
some things that I've learned along my life path
Mm-hmm.
that I'm willing to share with you, but you get to do all the fun work, which is usually
Yeah.
all the hard work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's
Hmm.
it's also a factor that the person also is willing to heal, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a huge part.
Yeah,
right?
well, you hear stories like where the husband's not doing anything or the wife feels some way. So the wife is like, "You're
Hmm.
getting on my nerves. You need to go to therapy." Well, that usually doesn't work as well when somebody else wants you to go.
Yeah.
Or another big thing is when you have teenagers. And so I
Hmm.
get a lot of referrals for teenagers because their parents are struggling how to parent them. Sometimes that
Hmm.
works with young people and sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, they
Hmm.
want to be able to make choices about their life. Like I think
Hmm.
we all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
um do you think like kind of therapy also gets kind of shade, right? A bad shade from like web series and movies, because
I've
any
seen,
character
uh-huh.
goes to a therapist any point of time, it doesn't end well.
I have seen some interesting. I like watching kind of shows where they actually have like therapists in it, or even if I get like a social worker, I'm like, at least I'm represented. It, yay, we do exist in the world.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's entertainment. That's what we're watching. And we have to
Hmm.
remind ourselves that what we're seeing on TV, one, because it's another form of hypnosis, the things that we watch and what we're putting into our
Yeah.
minds, we're absorbing it into our
Hmm.
bodies. So even if it's a violent show, we
Yeah.
could be absorbing that trauma into our
Hmm.
body just by watching it.
Hmm.
Um, so I think we got to know like what's entertainment and what's for fun. I'm up for a
Hmm.
good joke and stuff like that. And then like what happens in real life when people
Yeah.
show up. It's
Hmm.
very anxiety provoking. It's no, I
Hmm.
remember when I was looking for a therapist and I was
Hmm.
like, why do I have anxiety? This is kind of what I do. This is like
Yeah.
weird. So
Hmm.
I think we're human and we get to experience all these beautiful emotions, even though they may not feel comfortable at times.
Yeah. um
Hmm.
because there seems to be in a lot of cultures, right, there seems to be this kind of taboo attached to the whole mental wellness, right? And
Well,
it's
I
kind of
call it
crazy.
mental wellness
Uh-huh.
because I'm trying to redefine it. But in the States, in the
Hmm.
US, we call it mental illness. And in
Hmm.
order to get reimbursement from the insurance company, we have to say you have a mental illness, that there is something wrong with you in order for insurance to reimburse it. I kind of have an issue with that. I don't feel like
Hmm.
I should have to say there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I would like or prefer to say, let's figure
Hmm.
out what's going on with you, not something wrong with you, but what's going
Hmm.
on,
Yeah.
right? But it does get
Mhm.
a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I think the old version would be you go on the couch and you're laying down, and then
Hmm.
like something funny
Yeah.
or crazy happens, like in the movies, or
Hmm.
yeah, that's all fun and
Yeah.
laughter.
But sometimes do you think that people are like too fragile, right, in terms of talking
Mhm.
about mental health, right? But they
Meaning
still
that some.
pretend to be like, there is nothing wrong with me. I might suffer from anxiety,
Uh-huh.
but you know what? It's okay.
So I think a lot of people say like there's nothing wrong. And I'm even
Yeah.
okay with that frame because it's
Hmm.
not that I'm looking for something that's wrong
Hmm.
with you. Um, but are there things that you could do to make things better? And usually
Hmm.
people come into therapy, unless it's a health related issue, it's because of relationships. A
Hmm.
partner told them, someone reported they were too angry or upset or joked
Yeah.
too much and never took things seriously. And so they
Yeah.
couldn't be in a relationship. So there becomes a repetitive pattern. I
Hmm.
don't know if this has been your experience, but even
Hmm.
when you're like in the dating field,
Hmm.
particularly with young people, they'll say, well, why am I dating the same girl over and over or the same guy? Because we
Yeah.
keep repeating patterns or working
Hmm.
through something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because there are certain people who say, I'm very bad with choosing partners,
Hmm.
right? And something you said, when you wrote your bio, you said, like, um, how you look at yourself also affects how you look at others, right?
Hmm.
And when people say, I cannot choose right partners at all, do you think that is something that's going on because they are not able to, um, you know they're not able to heal themselves, where they are not able to pick right people, throughout their life.
Well, one, I think it's so hard to try to heal yourself in the
Hmm.
world we live in now because it's
Yeah.
all chaotic. I don't care what country you're living in, there's something going on. It's
Hmm.
already been repeated in history, and it is not moving a country towards wellness. It's making everybody sick. So, from
Hmm.
the food and the water to
Hmm.
politics, it's
Yeah.
not like moving in this healthy direction. And
Hmm.
I've seen that in many cultures across the world. Um, yeah, but I forgot the question. I just went
So
all
the
on a
question
tangent.
was, that's okay. So the question was, when people say I cannot like pick right partners, right? Like I keep choosing bad people. Do you think it has to do with the said person understanding themselves and working on themselves?
There is the resistance of wanting to
Hmm.
understand yourself or work on yourself. So
Hmm.
I think of relationships like a mirror, right? And so,
Hmm.
like, when I'm good and happy and things are going well, and I can look at my partner and my partner gives me positive feedback. But let's say I had fast food today, and which rarely happens, but let's just say, and I didn't get enough sleep
Hmm.
and I'm bombarded with emails, I might be a little bit irritable. So when I show up in that relationship, my
Hmm.
partner might be like, "What's wrong with you? You got an attitude? Oop, you just triggered me because now you
Yeah.
told me the word attitude. Now my defense
Hmm.
mechanisms have to come in and protect it." So
Yeah.
really, relationships are a mirror of stuff we don't want to deal with yet.
Hmm.
So I often say, if you ever feel like your partner needs to go into therapy, you have to reevaluate it because you're probably the one that should try therapy.
Yeah, because you know also people try to gaslight each other, right?
Tell me your
People.
definition of gaslighting. This is an interesting concept, and boy, do I hear so much about it.
Yeah. um
And
because
it's a younger generation thing because
I
when I
don't
was in
think
my
so,
20s, well,
because
when I was in my
el-
20s, I didn't hear that
uh
term.
yeah, because like people didn't understand that. I forgot the name of the book, right?
Hmm.
Let me just pull it up quickly so that there is some context. um yeah, it's called as Think Like a Psychologist by
Think
Patrick
like a
King.
psychologist. Okay.
Yeah. So that is where I think he says, all conversations are like games, right? So there are social points when you talk to each other. And it's like a power move when you invest less and get more in return. That means I speak less, right, but I get more done. um
Okay.
and
Okay.
if you look at the whole elder thing, because I come from a culture where we are taught to respect our elders, and like people will still live with their parents, right,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
that's our duty. It's quite opposite to Western cultures, where if you don't live with your parents, they'll be like, yeah, because you are not a person who is very good, because you abandon your parents in their old age, right? But even though there is this whole, I would say, polarity of cultures, right? um, there is still a lot of gaslighting that goes on from elders to younger people,
Oh, I think it's been
right?
existing. Hmm.
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 So but I feel like now people are starting to call it out, maybe, I don't know.
Or maybe
Or
they didn't have a term, and now that we
yeah.
have the term
Hmm.
gaslighting,
Yeah, it's like now they
um,
understand, okay, what is that, right? They have some context of how it works in a relationship, when your partner might cheat on you, right? But they could
mhm,
convince you
mhm.
that it's your fault,
That is true, right? So
right?
it's when you think that you're
Hmm.
going insane because of the
Yeah.
experience and interpersonal relationship.
Uh-huh.
And that could happen more than just with boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
type of things. You could
Hmm.
happen like with the boss and
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah.
Um, So I do think that it's a real phenomenon.
Mhm.
And um, so how do you recognize when it is occurring within your relationship?
Yeah, that's
And
the
then what do
challenge
you
too.
do about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because what I feel like, right, if and this is totally my opinion, right, if a
Hmm.
person feels, right, that they are being used or utilized in a relationship, right, where there is bullying or gaslighting or whatever, right, whatever people want to call it as, I would genuinely request them to read more psychological books, right, because um, when you have the ability to, when you comprehend, right, what's being written in a book, um,
Hmm.
you are able to recognize patterns, right.
You're able to recognize patterns more so in other people than to do it yourself. That
Exactly.
requires some insight, and most
Yeah,
people
yeah.
aren't reflective in that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, exactly, so yeah, you corrected me, I think there. And you're right, like, if somebody, if I understand myself pretty well, right,
Hmm.
uh, and if I felt like, yeah, something is wrong here, because there is always that intuition when something goes wrong, where your brain's like,
You
dude,
know
get the
it.
fuck
You
out of
feel it.
this,
You
right.
feel it in your body. Yeah.
Exactly. and
Yeah.
and your hormones also start to change, and certain chemicals are induced in your body, and you're like, yeah, this is painful, right. um and I don't remember this, like, the person's name, but they were the first specialists to link the mental health issues with physical pain, like,
Okay.
when you go through something, it actually
Hmm.
hurts your body, because your brain cannot distinguish between mental threat and physical threat.
So it's like what you're talking about a little bit is the fight, flight, freeze, fawn kind
Exactly.
of
Yeah,
system
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
activated.
Hmm.
And I could be I could see a
Hmm.
movie of a
Yeah.
dangerous scene. I
Hmm.
could be in the car in a
Yeah.
dangerous scene, or I could have a past memory of some kind, and my
Hmm.
body could
Hmm.
also be sent into a fight or flight zone.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's actually protective.
Yeah.
So it's actually protective for the body to want to protect itself from
Hmm.
danger, just like when a
Yeah.
bear goes out and protects the
Hmm.
cubs. The
Yeah.
problems and the difference between us and bears, she comes back and hibernates for winter,
Yeah,
and
we
we
don't.
come back and do more and more and more and more, and it
Yeah.
accumulates, and then we're
Hmm.
just always constantly in fight or flight. We never get
Hmm.
to the rest or digest, which is
Yeah.
the other part of the system that helps us
Hmm.
recover. God, is that how relationships are? Are we in, like, if
Yeah.
you're in a relationship with someone and you know they're gaslighting, but you
Yeah.
stay,
Yeah,
then
because
you
there's no
are you
exit,
doing it
right.
to yourself? Like, but are you putting yourself in the fight or flight? Like, that's
I feel
crazy.
so. I feel so because if you are in a relation which is like very weird,
Man.
right, and
Hmm.
unpredictable, I feel like your body is in always, literally 24/7 is in like an heightened kind of sense,
Yep.
right, where it's like feeling everything and very careful about what's happening. Um, and there are people who work themselves into this,
That,
right?
a lot of people. I mean, we could go outside and look, and we could probably count like a lot of
Yeah.
people. Because
And
sometimes I look at people in relationships and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? You know she's no good. You know he's no
yeah.
good.
Mhm.
They're not. It's not about them changing. It's about
But
you
do you
changing.
think it's like they feel stuck if they get out of that relationship?
Absolutely. I felt stuck in my 20s with my first relationship. I was in
Hmm.
love. I thought he was the best thing ever, the love of my life.
Hmm.
I'll never have anybody else. And if I had knew the term gaslighting back then, I probably would have been using it too.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but you get stuck.
yeah,
And that the healing part is to learn how you get unstuck. So, like
yeah.
when a kid is tying their shoes, the difficult part
Hmm.
is what the patience that you have to learn to try to tie the shoes and put them together, to work
Yeah.
through the frustration when you don't get it done, but it's the
Hmm.
working through where the growth happens. So
Yeah.
it's like when you're stuck, good. Okay.
Hmm.
Are you going to
But
work through it?
I feel the question is, are you willing to work through it?
Are you willing to work through it? Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest question today, because if you look at marriages, like, the numbers are
What
shit.
marriages? What marriages last?
Exactly. Right. And then if you look at the repeat offenders, right, like who get married more than two times,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
then and then
I like how you call it the repeat offenders.
right, it's like,
Like, you know you're not getting it right. Why do you keep doing this?
yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And especially in Western cultures, where you have the whole, open relationships and live-in situations, and people still
Hmm.
get married and still get divorced pretty regularly.
Yeah, hmm, they
Right.
do. And we have one of the highest rates of divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, do you think it's like it's like a certain short-sightedness of people not willing to work through a relationship because they are looking for the perfect fit, and
Yes, they're
which
looking
literally
for the
doesn't
perfect fit.
exist, right? Like,
It does
I
not
bet, if you
exist.
created a perfect character even in Sims, like, the
So,
video
like
game.
an AI character, you put in what you want. I
Yeah,
wanna.
yeah. Uh-huh. But I
Okay.
bet even if you did that, right, you would get bored of that role pretty quickly, because that character is not evolving at all. But
But I
whereas
think
humans,
this is
yeah.
an attestment to what you said earlier. Like people
Hmm.
are stuck.
Yeah.
So no matter what AI creation you created,
Hmm.
if you're stuck, you're stuck. And yes, you're going to have
Right.
struggles
Hmm.
in that process.
Because you also want the AI to evolve along with you,
Mm.
right? And we are not talking
Some
about
do. Some
AIs,
people don't
right?
want to evolve.
Exactly. That's
Some
why I
people
said,
want
we're
to.
not
Some
talking
people
about
don't.
AI. We are
Mm.
talking about people,
Yeah.
right?
But
And
maybe in our next podcast, we'll be talking about AI in another 10 years.
hopefully not.
People do
Hopefully
date.
not.
People do date online.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No, but my question is, when the other partner, right, has success in any kind, be it fame, name, or money, or anything, right, or peace
Hmm.
even, and the other partner feels left behind, right? uh, do you think, because if you just look at the evolution chart of those two people, right, and the person who found success is so much far in the, in the same chart, that the other person starts to pull them down, and that's like a leading cause for a lot of these divorces, breakups, and issues in a relation.
So the idea that you're saying is when one couple is successful, the other person gets jealous, and then that holds the other couple from progressing
I'm
in
saying
life.
within a relationship, right? Within the same two people, husband and a wife, or whatever it is, right? Whatever is the structure, one person
Hmm.
gets a lot of
Hmm.
success, and they have to, of course, go through this evolution chart, evolution, milestones to get there, and the other person, was left behind a little bit in the same evolution, in terms of changing as a human being, right? Do you think the person who was left behind, it might be the wife or the husband, um, or the boyfriend or anybody in the relationship, right? Do you think they also start to pull the other person who is ahead a little bit, to their direction, because they feel that they're losing the kind of connection? Because, if I'm making sense.
So I think if you have two people in a relationship and one
Hmm.
person is suffering, like let's
Yeah.
say becoming depressed because of what is
Hmm.
going on in the relationship, they will try to suck the other person dry.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
They will
Right.
try to pull you into
Hmm.
their unhealthy ways. It's like if someone is an alcoholic and they're
Hmm.
recovering and they don't want to drink, but their partner is still drinking, their partner is going to say, "Oh, it's just one more drink. Come on, you could be sober tomorrow," right? Like, because people like to share in their
Yeah.
sickness with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Do you know who Dave Ramsey is?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So, people like him, right, always say that um, finance is the number one lead of divorce in US.
Okay, I believe it.
So, um, because I'm talking about this because of our sponsors and everybody, but still, when you know, let's say a person wants to save money, right, but
Hmm.
their partner doesn't want to,
Hmm.
right? There are a number of reasons for that, but let's begin with they feel the YOLO.
Yeah, she wants to go shopping and buy some new
Yeah,
shoes and
right. You
outfits.
only live
Yes.
once. Come on.
I
Live
mean,
a
come
bit,
on.
right? And the other person is looking at like, oh shit, if I make it like to 70, I'm fucked because I do not have any savings, to
Yeah.
fall back on. Um, do you
So
think
one
that
is an
also?
immediate planner or
Yeah.
a long-term planner. Okay.
Mhm. But do you think that's also more of an emotional response to their like upbringing and their childhood, right? Because
Oh, no, because I think spending could be a psychological issue. There could be
yeah,
some
exactly.
unresolved things
Hmm.
in terms of that. It could be revenge.
Hmm.
Something
Yeah.
happened in the relationship, and the partner is trying to get back with them in this
Hmm.
like passive aggressive way.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like if you're mad at your, it's hard for me. Like if you're mad at your girlfriend, and then
Hmm.
like I don't know, you take her credit card and buy all these shoes with it,
Yeah.
you know. So I think there could be a variety of reasons why people do that.
Hmm.
But what that is telling me though, there's two people that are hurting and now they're
Hmm.
hurting each other and
Yeah.
they don't even understand what's going on.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like that's how clueless they are. And you will see this in the reality shows that we
Yeah.
think are real to some
Hmm.
extent, but we don't know. There's probably some acting that goes or exaggeration of acting.
Hmm.
Um, but they show up. One, we have to remember that they're trying to entertain,
Hmm.
um, but it could also get caught up in these patterns too.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
um and I feel like these patterns are like worldwide, right? Like everywhere people are still same and dealing with similar issues, right? So
Yeah,
even if you
I
take
think
it out
no matter
of the
where you live.
context, yeah, because even if you take it out of the context of a culture or a breed or ethnicity, right,
Hmm.
you're still dealing with the same humans in pretty much similar situations, right? That leads to a similar outcome, you know throughout the world. The reason I'm asking you this question is, right, because in US, it's like a melting pot of cultures, right? Like people come from all walks of life, and their whole heritage and ethnicity is different, and they still mingle, but you're still seeing the same issues.
So I can tell you about some of my travels. The issues
Hmm.
that we have in the West is not the same that the issues that we have in the East.
Yeah.
Um, there are places, and I'll use
Hmm.
India as a reference because I've traveled there, is if someone were to come to me and telling me
Hmm.
that they have been talking to elephants and that
Hmm.
they have this connection and
Yeah.
they feel spiritual, I'm going to say, oh, schizophrenia, you're delusional right now.
Hmm.
If I go to India, that's
Hmm.
like you're connecting
Yeah.
with God and the
Yeah.
creator. And so it's going
Hmm.
to be seen
Yeah.
differently. So even what we consider mental illness in the West isn't like
Yeah.
that through other parts of the world.
Exactly.
Um, so I think there are some differences.
Hmm.
Some areas have more issues related to, like, what would we say? Guns, drugs, sex, and rock and roll, right? Like, guns were kind of added since some of the political stuff with our campaigns and presidential elections.
Did you just
But
define US?
Yeah, I did in those three, like in those four categories, because that is kind of what we
You
put on
also
a
forgot
pedestal,
capitalism,
and they believe, like, yeah, hmm
right? Yeah. I mean, but even if you look at relationships as a whole, right? Like, um, not just the love relationship, but in any relationship, right? Um, do you think, because you know psychology better than anybody else that's listening to, um, knowing psychology is an advantage in a relationship, understanding psychology,
because
because you have the tools to manipulate the other person?
so that's what I thought you were going to go in that direction. I don't want to
Yeah.
manipulate nobody. I
Mhm.
want to
But
figure out my own stuff.
yeah, but you do have that kind of access to do that when you want to, right?
I
It's like
think if
having an
you were
insurance.
I think more manipulation can
Hmm.
come with hypnosis than it would
Yeah.
come with psychotherapy.
Hmm.
Because you can understand with psychotherapy, you understand how the mind works, but that's still a generalization
Hmm.
of it. You understand
But
about child development, and that's still
hmm
different.
hmm but if you understood like human behavior from a psychological perspective, you could
hmm
probably manipulate somebody into behaving the way you want them to be.
I don't know if that is that type of power, because then I would have to ask myself, someone else who had a psychology degree, could they
Hmm.
manipulate me? No. Could they have
Yeah.
manipulated me when I was vulnerable and I was
uh,
20 and I didn't know things and I was new to
yeah.
relationships and trying to find
Hmm.
independence? Yeah. But you can't
Exactly that.
manipulate me now,
Yeah, exactly, that's my question, because you know better now,
but
right? You
not
cannot be
because of a
manipulated.
psychology degree, because of
But
life
what you went
experience.
through, right? Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
hmm
But
Yep.
exactly, but if you were to match with a boy who is very younger and doesn't understand psychology at all, right?
Could I manipulate?
Let's say he games too much. Could you
Uh-huh.
manipulate him into behaving and doing actual things? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's
I
like,
understand what you're
if
saying.
a
I don't
person
know
is
if I
like way
could.
too immature in a relationship, right?
hmm
Sometimes you also have to act as the parent, in certain situations.
I think people do show up that way, where they feel like they're mothering their boyfriend, or well, I
Exactly.
never really get too much in terms of
Hmm.
fathering their girlfriends, but
Hmm.
um, I do feel like sometimes women show up in that way, where they feel
Yeah.
like, you know, I have to now be the pseudo mom for you because you're not doing what I think you should be doing as a man
Hmm.
in the
Yeah,
relationship.
but what I'm trying to say is, um, if a person did not understand human behavior at all, they would
hmm
fight, right? They would have fights about it. Why are you gaming all the time? Like, why can't you be with me, right?
Okay, okay.
Against you understanding human behavior and trying to correct it without getting into an argument, or you know I would say fights.
So I think a psychology degree would help you learn communication skills,
Exactly. Hmm.
and you could avoid or have better conversations or dialogue with other
Hmm.
people. But psychologists aren't perfect too, and most of their families are just
Yeah.
as messed up. So it's true. Most people
Yeah,
go into the
that's
field
true.
for a particular reason. It's not like they thought they were good in business. They had a lot of family shit go on,
Hmm.
and they figured out, how do I learn about it? And they studied psychology.
Yeah, exactly. There is this saying that all doctors are not healthy,
Yeah, I
right?
got to kind of, yeah. I guess you could say that about therapists, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm the one exception.
Yeah. um yeah, what do you think about introverts landing with someone who is extremely extrovert,
Oh, they're just such a fun relationship.
right?
And I'll just use male and female. He doesn't want to do anything, and she complains about it the whole time. I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys are not in any medium whatsoever. And
Yeah.
then, as if they decide to stay together, as they get older, he gets
Yeah.
stiller in movement and only wants to sit on the couch. And
Yeah.
her anxiety builds up over the years and is constantly yelling at him. It's like this
Yeah.
repetitive pattern. There's so much energy that goes on.
Yeah. But if they understood communication better, they'd be suited in the long term, right? Because
Yeah, if
they
they were
can pretty
processing it.
much tackle any situations, right?
Hmm.
um the introvert would work as like the controller for the extrovert,
Or
right?
usually the introvert will calm the person down,
Yeah.
or
you know
is likely to be quiet or silent so that
yeah.
the argument doesn't
Hmm.
continue.
Yeah.
So maybe more likely to give in than
And
resist
extrovert would work on bringing the introvert out of their shell,
the chaos. Uh-huh.
right?
So there's a lot of energy both in the
Yeah.
body and in the expression of verbal
Hmm.
words. So
Hmm.
it could be very intense and dramatic at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, definitely. But do you
Like
think
those
that's
are
the
the
kind of
fun
like
relationships.
yeah, do you think that's kind of like the joy of life, right?
I don't know. If you've ever
Because
dated
they both
someone
are
who's
extreme.
dramatic,
Yeah.
well, have you dated someone who's extreme? It's fun until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And it's usually
Yeah.
not fun more of the times that it
Hmm.
is fun.
Yeah,
So when those
exactly.
emotions are, woo,
Hmm.
that could be challenging. Even like when you're dating someone who's bipolar and their
Yeah.
moods are fluctuating all the time,
Hmm.
that can be an interesting relationship.
Yeah, definitely. Then there are like clueless people,
What do
right?
we call those? I think like our old term was like blonde hair, blue eyes. Like if you were called like blonde hair, blue eyes, we kind of
Hmm.
knew what that meant in the past. I think it's
Yeah.
changed now because I don't hear that reference as much. So
Yeah, you're getting old. Yeah.
yeah, I am. I enjoy it though.
Yeah.
It just
It's also.
surprises me.
Mhm.
I was just saying it surprises me. I wake up every day. I get a day older. I thank you.
Yeah. You know what would be the perfect response for that? You are
What?
too.
Oh, is that what it is?
Right?
I don't know if you feel like you're getting older though. Some people have this feeling that being old is a negative thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel great. I weigh the same I weighed in middle school. My
Hmm.
skin looks good. I feel good. I have no brain fog. I have no I'm not on medications. I don't have any issues physically going on.
Hmm.
So why would I not be excited about this
Yeah.
age?
Because there is a difference between feeling old and being called old, right?
That's true. That's true.
And
I
it
kind
is
of get
it.
excited though when I'm called old. When I turned, I think it was like 46. I'm not good with numbers anyways.
Mhm.
So people would say, "How old are you?" I'd be like 50. So I've been like 50 for the last like 2 years. I'm gonna give myself another 2 years, and when I hit
Yeah.
about 53, I'll
Uh-huh.
probably go to like 55. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
tell people every 5 years something different.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're just like my grandfather. He was like, um, when he
He's
was
a
like
wise
90.
soul.
Yeah, he was like 90 or 91, and anybody used to ask
Uh-huh.
him how old are you, he'd be like, yeah, 98. And
See?
until even when he hit like 99, he was still like, what's your age? He'd be like, yeah, 98.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You're like, dang, did you ever get any numbers?
Yeah.
Nope. When I die,
No.
you can do the math yourself. It doesn't matter
Exactly. Exactly.
because it can be a state
Yeah.
of mind. Now, was he healthy? Was he physically moving? And
Yeah. Until like the last like 2 3 months, before
okay, I
he
mean, that's
died.
a beautiful. How beautiful is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, exactly. Um, that's kind of non-existent in today's world, where you see a lot of
Yeah.
healthy elder people.
You see people in their 60s who are struggling to
Yeah.
walk, who have back issues. Number one
Hmm.
complaint, at least in Western medicine, is back
Yeah.
issues, health issues, abundance of health issues from heart
Hmm.
disease to diabetes, all of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that can be healed if they make some changes in their life. And sometimes
Yes.
it's giving up things.
Yeah. What do you think about like senior life relationships?
Like when people are older, like 60 or
Yeah,
80,
yeah,
I
they're like
hope they have a
70,
great
and
sex life. I think it's great. If they need some help, then get some help and support, because women
mm,
who are in their 60s and men in their 60s should still be climaxing, should still
yeah,
have a great feeling good about being in their body,
mm,
adjusting to all of the changes like you did
mm,
in adolescence. You just do it in
yeah,
a different way as you get older. So I think it's
mm,
great. As long
yeah,
as you keep it safe. I don't want no
yeah,
80-year-old guy out there like spreading STDs. Like, what's that about, bro? You need to slow down. But yeah,
yeah. They're like, yeah, yeah. It's kind of different, right? Because they both, both people in that relation are just like very blunt, which
they
is
can be
very
kind of
often
direct, huh?
right. They're like, yeah, you look ugly today. Like there is no remorse behind it. Where
I
a young
think the
person would
filter
probably
has
hesitate.
stopped. The
Yeah.
filter has stopped. I'm
Hmm.
not sure how that plays out in the bedroom though. I don't know how
Hmm.
how
Yeah.
clear they are or
Uh-huh.
direct with those
Yeah.
messages. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Whereas
Mhm.
younger people are more like, diplomatic about what they say and how they deliver certain words.
At the beginning of a relationship, I think the more
Hmm.
you're around someone, the more you start to lessen those filters, and you might start saying things like you would to
Yeah.
like your homegirl or your homeboy, and
Hmm.
it might be a little offensive. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that's
That's
stupid
why.
what you have on.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like people with, people who use less diplomacy in words often like find extroverted people, because they would always
Mm,
struggle with the introverts, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because if you told an introvert you look like shit, they would
It
hold it
might
for like
be.
a week.
They might a week. They might hold it for a year and bring it
Yeah,
up at the anniversary the next
yeah,
year. And you're like, I thought we worked through this. We've been talking about it for 40 hours. When are you gonna let it
yeah,
go?
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
But then, like, can
what?
you
Yeah,
imagine being in a room full of
uh-huh.
extroverts?
Yeah, I have been,
That's
so I
chaotic.
don't have to
That's
imagine.
chaotic. You're like, that's chaotic. Like
Yeah.
COVID, when things closed down, extroverts had the worst time. Introverts was
Mhm.
like, finally, I get to live
Yeah,
in a world that
yeah.
comforts me.
Finally, the world
Hmm.
has come to my terms.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. So I had time. I'm
Yeah.
an introvert. Are you an extrovert?
I don't think so, but I'm very
You think
confused
you
about
might be?
that. I like talking to people, but people who are somewhat intelligent.
That's nothing. I mean, that should be a good quality to have. Not talking
Yeah.
to idiots in the world, right?
Uh-huh. Because yeah, you know, I can, talk shit, but something has to be meaningful. So I
Uh-huh.
think I guess I am an introvert. Yeah, I don't know.
Is it easy for you to start like conversations with people and stuff?
Yeah, it was hard initially, right? But
Hmm.
since
Hmm.
I've started this podcast, I'm like, I can talk to like a fucking terrorist. Like, I don't care. Like,
Okay.
it's not
So
hard for me to initiate.
you might be an introvert with
Uh-huh.
extrovert tendencies. So when you have
Yeah.
to go out in the real world, that's how you show
Yes.
up. Like you're not
Yes.
going to come short. You're going to come
Hmm.
full game, ready to play. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Hmm.
um, do you think that kind of also changes as age?
I think it can. And also, as medical things happen, if
Hmm.
you have medical issues, it may force you more into an introverted way. You end up
Yeah.
suffering more with depression than if you're a natural introvert.
Hmm.
Uh, I think age, I think what's going on in the environment, if there's a
Yeah.
lot of fear, that can make
Hmm.
people go one way or the other. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to have sex again, or I'm going to go out and have sex with a billion people.
Hmm.
So I think that could
Hopefully
play a
not.
part into it, like fear. Like our 80
Hopefully
year
not
old
a
guy.
billion people. You'd
I
be the
told you the 80-year old guy is trying to keep his mojo going.
yeah. I mean, you'd be the next Genghis Khan, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? Like, yeah. I mean, do you think today's relationships are more like complicated than before, because just because people are just like lost so
Yeah.
much?
Yeah, but I think complicated in the sense, like in the past, women really haven't had
Hmm.
that much of a voice in relationships. And even if you look at other cultures, like there's
Yeah.
still arranged marriages and things that are
Hmm.
planned based on generational ways of being.
Hmm.
So I think things are more complicated when someone gets in your ear and says, I don't think you should be, you let your husband do that. You know, he's
Hmm.
gaslighting you. And then
Yeah,
she's like,
that's
nope,
it.
someone
Yeah,
told her.
that's it. Mhm.
Where do
Now
I
I'm a
file the
feminist.
divorce? Now I'm a
Exactly.
feminist, right?
Right. All of a
They may
sudden.
show up in that way.
Yeah. It's also sad that feminism has become a tool of access than
What do you
being
mean?
actually something in principle.
Mm,
Like, it's a tool that people use when when it is
it's
advantageous to them.
convenient.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So they're
I
like,
mean, I say I'm a feminist. I say that I
mhm.
show up, but I
But to
show
what
up
degree is the
expecting
question?
all white, all right. Huh? Say that one more time.
So if even if you said I'm a feminist, the question would be, to what degree?
I'm not getting arrested for any political thing. So I've done that in my 20s and I am not trying to
Mhm.
go to jail for protesting. So that is the barrier and the cutoff.
So
Now,
yeah.
will I enforce laws like in the US,
Hmm.
particularly in particular states? We have this abortion thing going on where
Hmm.
women can't get abortion. I
Yeah.
don't think men should even at all be in that conversation. And I think a woman
Hmm.
definitely should have the choice because we don't ever come to guys and say, well, do you have your birth control with you yet?
Well,
Um,
I would say, that if someone speaks about abortion, right, that also brings this whole thing of child support. Because if a woman can have the option to escape motherhood,
so is he going to pay
what is
child
the escape
support
for
for
a
a baby?
fatherhood?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
if he's like, like, I don't want to look after this child, but he's still supposed to pay, right? So there is
Yep.
no escape
Especially if
from
she's in a state
fatherhood.
she can.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there is no escape from fatherhood, but there is, n numbers of escapes from being a mother. You can literally give up your child, but can a father give up their child? No.
Yep. He can give up. What
Right.
are you talking about? They do it all the time.
But
We
he would
have a
still
court
have to
system.
pay
So
child support, though.
no. Uh-uh. You
You.
can say, I relinquish my rights. Your child goes through adoption. You never have to pay anything financially. You would need both parents to do that.
Yes,
And women
exactly,
pay
that's my
child
point.
support too. Women pay child support just as
Well,
much as men pay
what's the
child support.
ratio? What's the ratio?
The well,
That's
life
the
is
question.
changing too. So it's not like we're talking about where we came from too. We didn't come from an
Hmm.
egalitarian place where men and women were always equal. We came from a place
Hmm.
where men had the power and women are
Hmm.
trying to get some of that power or at
No,
least
what I'm
treated
trying
in
to
an
say
equal way
is,
back.
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, it is, it's far more convenient to, escape from motherhood than being a fatherhood, from fatherhood.
I don't know if I
Let me
agree
tell
with
you my
that.
case, right? Like, not my case,
Okay.
but India's case.
Yeah, uh-huh.
In India, there are pro feminists, right?
Hmm.
If you look at a law, right, if a man abuses a woman, it's domestic abuse, right? Domestic
Hmm.
violence. But if a woman abuses a man, it's not anything. Like, there is no term for it. You cannot even file a case against the woman.
Hmm.
So and there is also this whole, thing that even if a woman out earns the man still has to pay alimony, and no feminist talks about it.
So it's different in the US, and that is
Yeah.
unfair because
Hmm.
it is based solely on the income of both parents and the percentage with the child
Hmm.
here who determines who pays.
Hmm.
Um, and the first example you said was what was the first example?
So there is no domestic violence if the crime
So a
is,
man gets
against
arrested
a
too
man.
here. Yeah, men
Yeah.
get arrested in the U. I mean, but women get arrested too, and sometimes
Yeah.
they both end up going to jail. So the
Hmm.
laws here are a little different.
Yeah.
So
No, but
maybe
I
a
just
part of
gave
the
you an example of, when people say it's a man, leading society or whatever the fuck, right? I'm like, you
Mhm.
look at India's case. It's not only India. You look at Eastern countries. Women enjoy far more, securities and rights than a man.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
My argument is still going to be the
but no,
same,
no,
but if you look
but
at
my question is,
historically,
yeah,
hmm
but getting back to the before we got sidetracked,
hmm
but the question is, still feminism is an access, like, it's convenience, right? It's not something that people really want equal rights, right? Because even if you remember that whole Congress hearing about the pay disparity, do you remember that?
hmm hmm
Where they did not even take into account the hours worked. They were like, yeah, but women earn less than man.
and
Sure.
you're talking worldwide, or are you talking
No, I'm
specifically
just
like
giving
in
you
the
references
U.S.
of,
or
no, I'm just giving you
okay?
references of how feminism is just an axis these days, more than actual principle
Well, and
that people want to stand on.
there's been different calls of
Hmm.
feminism and other feminist groups that has checked in a
Yeah.
way the traditional feminist group, which was only white women
Hmm.
initially. So there are other feminist groups that have come out and says, hey, particularly the black feminist
Hmm.
movement that came out and said, hey, well, we've been the primary caregivers of our families for since slavery. This is nothing new
Yeah.
for us, and
Hmm.
so we still haven't had the same rights. So there has
Yeah.
been, I hear what you're saying. It does appear as if there is some inequality and that women
Hmm.
are getting more rights in the examples you gave with domestic violence and child
Uh-huh.
support. Um, I still have a little different of opinion when it comes to that,
Hmm.
though.
Yeah, no,
But I
I
hear what
understand,
you're
but
saying.
yeah, but what I'm trying to, I guess, say is, um like, if it's like equal rights, then it should also be equal lefts,
Yep. But is it
right?
equal rights? Is it ever
Yeah.
equal rights?
Yeah, in today's world it is.
And that's what we say. Is it
Yeah,
really equal? Even
it
if we
is.
looked at race, is race
It
really
is.
equal?
Yeah.
I mean, is there not a caste system that exists in some places?
No,
Is it
no,
not
not
social
anymore.
economics in the US, the social economic status that exists,
Well,
where we have
socioeconomic is a
lower,
different thing,
middle, and
right?
high?
Yeah,
But it's
that's a
still a
different thing.
system
No,
that
but
is
no, no. Then,
disproportionately.
but the question is always about equal opportunity, not the outcome. Like, you can start an LLC,
Is
I
there
can
equal
start an LLC.
opportunity?
Yes, there is. You
I
could
don't
literally
know.
start an
That's
LLC
not
being
the
an American.
experience of Black people. That is
Well,
not
let
the
me tell you
experience
this,
of Black
right?
people.
You can start an LLC right now as a business owner, right? Being a
hmm
US citizen,
hmm
I can start an LLC right now, being an
Okay.
Indian in US. So I'm like, there is equal opportunity, and if people are not cashing it in, like, yeah, then there is going to be disparity always. That's the study that UN
But
did
do
for.
you know, but did
Mhm,
you know, or did someone teach you how to
mhm.
get an LLC? Were you guided in some way
No, I
because you
just
had
looked it up.
resources?
No, I just looked
But
it
you
up.
had resources, so you had access to the internet.
Well, internet is a basic requirement of a human being in today's world. With food, shelter,
I
and
know
water.
people who don't have the internet. There are small, but there are
Uh-huh.
parts of the country that don't have
Yeah.
access to the
No,
internet.
even in India, internet access is not everywhere. There are some still
Yeah.
remote places where internet access is not there.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's equal
But the thing is,
access for
right, a
everyone.
system cannot be like 100% efficient any any given day or time. Like, it could never be, right? Because even in US there are some cities where you can drink the tap water, but there are cities where you
hmm
cannot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. hmm
And if people would say, like, that's inequality, I'm like, no, it's just the scenarios and the challenges that the government itself is dealing with. It's not that they don't want to provide it, it's just they're not capable of doing it.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I'm probably one that kind of believes in some conspiracy theory. So I
Yeah,
probably would say, like, I don't know.
trust
I
me,
think
I am
that
a
people
step
make
ahead.
decisions. People make decisions and they say no to this community and yes to this community. I've sat on
Mhm,
boards, I've allowed businesses to get licensed, and I've told businesses they couldn't get licenses.
mhm,
And that criteria is not fair.
mhm. Yeah. What do you think about HOAs?
I hate them. I
Yeah,
hate them. I
right.
hate them. I hate them. And then I kind of like them when
Yeah.
they talk about everybody else. But when they give me a
Uh-huh.
notice, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have HOAs?
People will literally kill each other if there was HOAs here.
Really? They will be
Indians
like,
don't like laws.
you want me to move my plant? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, Indians don't like laws at all. Like, it is so fucking hard to enforce a law here. Trust me. Like,
Uh-huh.
and because we were like 200 years, being
Hmm.
colonized. If you put up a, a, a law, right? Let's say don't walk on this street. More than
Uh-huh.
half people who don't even walk would walk on that street.
They would be like, oh, this is a new thing to do.
Yeah, so
This is
they're
the
like,
trend. So your laws are
uh,
trends.
yeah, so they're like, so you want to challenge us? Okay, sure.
Uh-huh. Like, see what's
Yeah.
gonna happen. The people are
Mhm.
gonna rule.
Yeah, but the question is like, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
Because when a crime is committed by a mass, it's not a crime anymore. Right?
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that
so we
space.
don't like, we
When a
don't
crime is
if
committed by a mass.
yeah, if you told even a person where to park their car, they'd be like, yeah, man, could you fucking mind your own business or something? Like,
I will say driving in India is quite an experience. I did not
yeah.
drive, but it was
Mhm.
quite a
Yeah, for those people who are like totally unaware of Indian driving, I would suggest you watch Gabriel Iglesias and his trip to
okay.
India, where he talks about how we drive.
The drive. Well, the
Yeah,
honking of the horn, I feel like there's
yeah,
a what do we call it? We call it something in our military, Morse code. So I feel like
hmm,
there's some sort of
yeah,
Morse code that goes on.
yeah,
You're like,
definitely.
oh, this is
Yeah, because
loud.
when a person is honking once, that means I'm coming, right? And if you are
See?
ahead of somebody and you honk
Uh-huh.
twice, that means you're going to turn, maybe you're right or left,
Okay.
right? So it's, yeah, there is a system to it, right?
It is. It
I mean,
works
if
because I didn't see
yeah,
one accident. I didn't see one accident. I didn't
it's
see no
very rare.
animals getting hit, nothing, no
Yeah, yeah,
people.
no, that doesn't happen
Um, so it
because,
works.
yeah, if 1.5 billion people are driving, there has to be some system in it.
There is a lot of people. And then the cars are so small, but there's like a
Yeah,
lot of people that could fit and hold and go.
yeah,
I'm like, okay,
yeah,
where do
because
I
Indian,
move
yeah, because Indian cars, like if you look at our car manufacturing, right, they
it?
prefer more passengers. So they're like, okay, how can we fit more people into a car?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because in India, car is a luxury.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that part.
Anyways, getting back to the main
Yeah, I
track.
know. I get us
Um,
all off track.
yeah. Um, most of my episodes, I get sidetracked. I don't
Okay.
know why. I had to work on that. But yeah. So, getting back to relationships, right? How do you help people?
I pray for them. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. You're like, I, yeah. Do you know
Although
those?
I do pray, like there's some truth to that too.
Yeah, but do you
Uh,
know those prayers where they're like, if you pay us $10, we will pray for you over the phone.
yeah, I don't take money for that part. Yeah, I do Reiki, but I've never done it. Well, I have done it distance, but I when I do it distance, I don't ask for money.
Good, because it
You
doesn't
know what
work.
Reiki is, right? The energy healing.
It doesn't
Have
work.
you ever had Reiki done?
No, I don't believe in the snake
You
oil
don't believe
stuff.
in energy?
No, absolutely
So the
zero.
first time I had it done was in India. I thought it was interesting because he was
Hmm.
doing all kinds of stuff, and I was like, I don't
Yeah,
feel anything. What is supposed to happen?
yeah, yeah. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
You're like,
I
I
can
don't
tell
care.
you.
It's all a con.
Yeah, Reiki doesn't work. Energy healing and this stuff, like, crystal
Uh-huh.
balls and all. Yeah, it's just pseudoscience. I'm a very
Pseudoscience.
firm believer of that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
I
I
have
do believe in a
had.
little bit of it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, don't, because it's just
Don't
like,
do it.
yeah, don't do it, because I have had people, energy healers, on
Uh-huh.
the podcast, and
Uh-huh.
all it boiled down to was, it's not an actual medicine, it's just placebo.
Ooh, that's an
Yeah,
interesting
because
thought.
you cannot prove
Does
it
it matter
the
then
other
if it
way.
works? If it works, and even if it is a
It
placebo,
doesn't
would it
matter.
matter?
No, it would not.
If it worked for that individual, then it's like here's
No.
Prozac for depression.
Uh-huh.
But if I gave you a water pill and you didn't know any
Mhm.
difference and you
Yeah.
thought it was working, then doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't
but you're not telling me that water is healing depression, right? You're using placebo as
if
an
I gave you
effect
a
rather than the
placebo,
result. No, but
but
what I'm
if I
saying
gave
is,
you a placebo,
alter, alternative medicines use um, placebo as a way to justify it,
maybe.
but placebo
I
cannot be
sometimes
tested
think
in a
about that
mass.
with
Like, what I'm trying to say
it's
is,
interesting. Want to talk about research?
yeah, because medicine, if you talk about medicine, right? Even
Hmm.
even Ayurvedic medicines, the research is very good and the medicine is consistent, right? Now, if you look at crystal ball, whatever healing that is, modality, right? At the end of the day, it's placebo, and you're using, not you, but like people who do crystal healing, right? They're using
Hmm.
placebo as the medicine, right? Rather than an effect. It's
So
like
when
this,
I
right?
think about,
So let me give a simple example, right?
hmm.
If you're feeling hot, right, you switch on the ceiling fan and it cools you down, right? And that's a fact. Now,
Hmm.
now when you feel hot, if when you're feeling very hot, if I ask you to run very fast so that air hits you, and you say, it's still doing the
Okay,
cooling, it's not.
because of the wind blowing against your skin by going at a faster speed.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
a treatment, right? I'm just pulling you in a certain direction to give you, like, the placebo of feeling cool. But guess what? Once you stop running, once you stop taking those sessions of crystal healing, you are fucked, right?
So I do think that there is research that does support that
Hmm.
modality works for some people.
Yeah, but
And the
that
body of
that's the
research,
reason, right? It's for some people.
so the body of research that I know most about is going to be
Hmm.
meditation. And
Hmm.
meditation has been recreated
Yeah, meditation is
across the
definitely beneficial.
masses.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, but I was talking
so,
about the crystal healings and like the like one those where they will heal you through the video call. You know, they transfer
so
energy
like
or something.
some of it might be a play on words, like a psychic, or so some
I
of
don't
this I
think
think
psychic.
is for
No, because I feel
entertainment.
like a psychic
But when you say crystal
uses.
ball, I'm not sure who
Yeah.
uses a crystal ball nowadays.
Oh,
Who?
trust me, they do. They do. They do crystal balls. They do crystals. They do stones. Yeah, they do shit ton of snake oilsman
So I know the
behavior.
stones. So
Mhm.
the stone, a particular stone can have energy, and if you keep that energy during particular parts
Well,
of the body,
let me ask you this, right? Can you quantify the energy?
yes, through quantum physics. If you believe in some of the theories that have come out with that, yes, you
But
can.
it's still
But a
theory,
lot of
right?
people, so science may not say we don't believe in the
Hmm.
quantum field or quantum physics, that it's
Hmm.
not real research. Well, I
Hmm.
can look at some of the research and I can always be critical and say that this isn't
Hmm.
real research if it's going to contradict what I want to believe. I'm not
Hmm.
one that likes to limit the mind. I
Hmm.
like to say,
Hmm.
okay, how can I expand it? Because there could be all kinds of possibilities. Our mind, we lose less than 10% of our brain activity. So there's no way that we would know that any of this is true. There's no way in terms of knowing whether or not a Prozac pill will help for depression versus a amethyst crystal, because we're so
Well,
limited in how we think
I think I can
anyways.
quantify it. I think I can quantify it. Um, if you ask me, I have like three parameters for anything if it works in terms of medicine,
Hmm.
right? One is the result quantifiable? Like, can you definitely say for every 100 people that we test on, right, 20% or 30%, whatever is the number, people get, you know, healed, or the medicine works.
Hmm.
So that's quantification, right? The second is the medicine or treatment that you're giving is, backed by some logic, right? Because I cannot tell you that where this blue oyster stone, it will heal your cancer, like, and people do that.
Well, I don't think that's what, well, not in terms of
No, I'm
reputable
just giving you an
people
extreme
or.
example, but
Hmm.
I'm saying, can the treatment or the medicine, can it be backed by logic, right? And the third one is, like, as always, is it a placebo? Like, these are the only
So
three
when you.
parameters that I go with whenever I talk to anybody. There was a guy that I interviewed. He said, if you can send me a photograph, I will scan it in an EMF machine, and
Hmm.
I can heal you wherever you are in the world, sitting right here,
Okay.
be it any disease, right? But do you
Well,
think
I
that
mean, I'm
works?
curious how he heals or beats any disease, because then he would be the most famous. But is he
Yeah.
talking biofeedback? Because that sounds like biofeedback, and there is a lot of research that supports biofeedback. One, you can rewire the brain. You can have cellular change. So we have
Hmm.
46 chromosomes. And we were
Hmm.
believed when I was going to biology class that you couldn't change your genetic makeup. But now we're seeing that that's not true. Genetic
Hmm.
makeup can be altered and changed.
Yeah.
So
I.
science is as good as the
Mhm.
time and the period it is given to us in, and it
Mhm.
changes all the time. What was factual, what we believe to be factual 50 years ago, does not
Mhm.
hold to your standards of what
Mhm.
is scientific right now because it won't meet
Mhm.
those qualifications.
Well, I would say
And
this, right, to sum it up. If you look at the amount of people who died because of these alternative medicines, these medicines would be like literally declared as criminal, because people abandon Western medicines
Mhm.
and treatments and they go to this, bullshit
Okay.
stuff, right? And
Hmm.
they just die. You're having cancer, you're having some life threatening stuff, and you were like,
I,
you know what,
I
this
don't.
is gonna work, you
I
know.
think if going to some woo woo person with a ball, like that probably is not going to
Mhm.
work. But I do believe in holistic medicine
Yeah, that
and
works, that works. I'm
treating the
not saying
body
that
through
doesn't.
natural. Yeah. But like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
person with the bulb that says all you got to do is like pray 3 times in the morning and then that'll take care of all your
And wear
problems or,
wear this crystal,
yeah,
and
like
yeah, and I'm going to do some stuff through the video call with my finger that's going to heal you.
how though in psychology, there's a term that we use. And so when you said hold this crystal, that's what it made me think of. It is an attachment figure.
Hmm.
And that can help people through periods or experiences that they're going through. So if they're going through a breakup, holding it, like I don't have one, but if I had a crystal, holding it
Hmm.
as an attachment figure can be healing.
Well,
And that
that's the
is proven in
yeah,
psychology that people need attachment figures to help them get through painful things.
that's the exact example I gave you of the ceiling fan.
So, what is really healing you? At the
Nothing.
end of the day, the only thing that is really healing you is yourself, anyways. You're the
And
one making a
chemicals.
choice whether or not you do the
Hmm.
recommendations or you don't. You're the one
Yeah.
making a choice on whether or not you choose to leave that
Hmm.
bad relationship or you don't. So,
Yeah.
healing, no matter what the external, if it's a pill or it's proven in science, none of
Hmm.
it really matters unless you want to heal.
I would say it does. I would say it does,
Okay.
because sometimes these issues are terminal, right? Like, it can literally kill a person. And if a person,
I don't know. I know
if
people
it's
who have terminal cancer who didn't do Western medicine, and and are
Uh-huh.
living cancer free. So
But I would say there is like at least 3x that who did the same thing and died, because that's a very
three,
common thing in India. Yeah, at least
they
3x
did.
that.
What did they
Like
do? What were
they did this alternative medicine stuff, right? Like,
okay?
where there's crystals and essential oils and stuff, when they were literally
Okay.
needed to get into surgeries, yeah, they wouldn't survive. But the person convinced them to abandon the medicine, right?
Mm.
And that's where it gets unregulated market, where it's like, why are you doing
And I
this?
definitely like how we're probably going to go in terms of abortion in the US. I think that is
Hmm.
my opinion is we shouldn't
Hmm.
limit. So what happened there was someone took away their choice to get
Yeah,
Western medicine or
yeah,
whatever and said, do this
yeah.
instead. I
Here is
consider
what I
that a
would do, right?
medical trauma.
Yeah, here is what I would do. If I was a crystal healer, I would say, you know what, keep taking your medications, right? Like, keep going,
Uh-huh.
go through the cycle of Western medicine. I might help you, maybe, get better quicker, instead
Okay.
of saving your life, which I definitely cannot do.
I think, I mean, I think you're honest with that. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
that way you didn't kill anybody,
You
right?
should never take away someone's medication, especially if you're not trained or authorized to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, all kinds of things happen in other parts of the
Mhm.
world in the country that are different.
Yeah, different and weird. I can say
Hmm.
that.
You
So,
can. It's your show. You got it.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, from my point of view, I can say that because I've seen this
Hmm.
stuff, right? And
And
now
you've
people
seen the
are,
unfairness, it sounds like,
yeah, but it's also like, it's like blatant cheating, right?
or lying. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
because the
cheating
whole,
part, like,
Mhm. Yeah, cheating meaning, like, you are deliberately misguiding somebody
okay.
under the guise of, being an expert in something. You're not an
Mm,
expert. You're probably an expert of snake oilsmanship, and you probably have a certificate for that,
something that, yeah.
right?
Or bullshitting.
Um, yeah, bullshitting. That's a big
Yeah.
certificate that people
Yeah.
got, right? Um, but asking somebody to abandon the mainstream medicine and adapt the psychomedicine or whatever it is,
The
right?
psycho.
The
Yeah.
psychomedicines, it doesn't
That would
work,
be something we would call it is unethical. Yeah.
right? And these alternative medicines are not regulated, therefore there is so much leeway
They are.
for an unethical ways, right? Versus
But our
a
medicine and
psychologist.
Western medicine is regulated, but it's regulated by governmental agencies that I don't believe are fair. So I don't know which
Yeah,
would be better, an
I mean, Western
unregulated
medicines are
or
regulated
regulated.
by, yeah, Western medicine are regulated by the manufacturers themselves.
Hmm. They say here you have depression. Here's the pill that we
Yeah.
made, and then the side effects will be anxiety, so you can take the pill for that too. And we're
Yeah.
now in a
Do you know
society
there
where
is
it's about
this?
not healing, but giving me
uh,
pills.
yeah, there is this prime minister in Africa.
Hmm.
I don't remember the country. Maybe it was. Um, I don't remember the exact country. Where he was accused of corruption, right? And then he
Was it
audited himself.
guilty?
Yeah, so he audited himself and he found that he was not corrupt.
He found that he wasn't corrupt or he was.
No, he audited himself and he said, "Yeah, I'm not corrupt."
Oh, that sounds like something going on in our country. So it does happen in other parts of the world. Now I feel like there's a communal connection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah.
lesson is if you ever become
Mm.
corrupt, make for sure you have enough power so that you can uncorrupt
Audit yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, right? You have been working in this industry so long, right?
Hmm.
Maybe even before internet itself existed or something. I don't know. What is your advice to people who are looking to date, um, especially through apps, and you know where they are not able to meet people offline, and online is like their only source of selection.
So I think like the basic stuff, be safe, meet in public, make for sure you see
Hmm.
the person and it's not just a conversation, but that you have visual too. Like
Hmm. Yeah.
women are good about like stalking online. So stalk him and
Yeah.
find out like is he a
Hmm.
safe person and meet
Do
in
your
an
research.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then like that's the other part. Then there's this part when dating online, I think it can be a great tool. Um Slow down,
Hmm.
build trust
Hmm.
over time and get to
Yeah.
know whether or not you want to spend more time with this person.
Yeah.
Don't force
That
it.
makes sense. Hmm.
Yeah, don't force it.
That
And
makes sense.
I think young people maybe move fast. Get to know
Yeah.
him. See if he or she
Yeah.
is worthy of your attention and
And also
affection.
use platforms that do rigorous like checking,
Oh yeah,
right?
I know
Verifications.
some guys have not been faithful and they are all on these
Ooh.
apps and I'm like, I didn't even know
Yeah.
that existed. You can put someone's phone number in, you can see
Yeah.
who they dated in the past and if the story was
Hmm.
true that they were telling you.
Yeah.
Why, do they have
So
apps like that for guys like Psycho Girls Not to Date, something like that?
nope.
No, they haven't come up with
M-
it yet. Uh-oh, if someone's listening, they're
Men
going
are
to come up
hungry.
with that. So they'll
Yeah,
even
but
date psycho girls.
yeah, they will go out of their way to date a psycho girl.
Oh God,
Yeah,
that's just causing
because
drama.
you know they enter that relation with ill intentions. They're like, if I had to break up, I already have a reason.
Ah, so listen, it's kind of like you got in the relationship for the
Yeah.
purposes of preparing for the breakup, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so you already have a
Aw,
contingency of exit.
yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. Is that like them escaping what it's like to be in a real relationship and working through with it,
I wouldn't
or
say so.
is it
It's just
something
they're
else?
too desperate. Desperation can make a man
We'll
mad.
go from one to the other. Why are they desperate? Is there more men by population than,
Yeah, yeah,
or there's not a
definitely.
lot of good women?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
That was the drum roll. You're like, yeah, it's really the
Yeah.
type of women that are coming to the. Okay, okay.
Yeah, because if you go on Tinder, a lot of lot of men have started to put, or Luxy or any app, right? Um,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
men put this question: do you have an OnlyFans account? Like, are you a
Yeah.
creator in OnlyFans? And if they say yes, yeah, it's not. Of course, they don't want that
Oh, okay. So they don't. So there's not a lot of men on
quality.
the OnlyFriends website because men want to date for it to come into something, to move
Yeah.
towards
Are you
something.
aware of what is OnlyFans?
I think there might be. I think there
Hmm.
might be something like that, or probably something equivalent to it.
Yeah, OnlyFans is a US website. Like it's
Okay.
like heavily used in US. So it's like pay to play kind of service where you
Mm,
get images and videos and stuff of creators, content creators. So
okay.
a lot of women are on on there. Yeah, so
So that's a
like
dating place.
it's not a dating
Mhm.
place though. I would
But
urge you to
yeah,
look
but
into
it's just because
OnlyFans.
women are on there, it brings men to the platform.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I would say use more verified apps, right,
Mhm.
where the
Okay.
app or the company is actually doing some effort in verifying people. It's not just
Ah,
you
that's
put up your
good.
profile
Yeah.
picture, right? For example, Luxy, they are a app where um, they even verify your income. Like if you say I'm a
Oh,
millionaire, they're like, yeah,
yeah.
can you show some proof of that? Or are
Okay.
you
I
just like a
like
bullshit
that. I like
artist?
that. Uh-huh.
Right, that way there is no like doubt.
Uh-huh.
And they do like they want your
It's
ID
fact
to be
checking.
verified. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that way there is like less creepy men or women. um yeah, so my suggestion would be like, yeah, go through an actual app that verifies
You
people.
know, like I think women are good investigators. Like they can find out all kinds of stuff that you didn't
Yeah,
even
but I
think
can
they
make up
knew.
though. I can make up my whole
They find
existence.
stuff like you could if you started making
Hmm.
it up from the beginning. That just means there's
Yeah.
a personality disorder. Because like, how do you come out making it up for so long, right? So that's actually should be a red flag. You just meet someone, they say they're from another
Hmm.
country, they don't have social media, and it's been,
Yeah.
like they're in their 20s. I would be curious
Yeah.
about that. Like, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Now, if
but
they were in
for
their 80s, I would be like, oh, I could see why you don't have social media.
yeah, but I'm a
Mhm.
digital marketer by profession. So I can
Okay.
populate a social media account, no problem. Like,
Mm,
I can probably change my name too. No. And that's what people do actually.
they
People
do.
do a
Yeah.
lot of catfishing stuff that
You
goes
think
on.
women do it too, or do it just as much as men?
I mean, if there is money in it, any sex will do it,
It's in the mind. Okay. So there's some
right?
sort of motivation factor. Okay, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Because now
Yeah.
catfishing is almost like a business, it's an industry of people.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not
Just to be
individuals anymore.
deceitful to people, that is
Yeah.
making money. People just intentionally being deceitful and dishonest.
Yeah.
That makes money. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I wonder
Because
what that does to
if
someone's soul.
yeah, it definitely destroys their soul and wallet both.
Yeah, like that's crazy. Like it's like
Yeah.
going into a career knowing that you're gonna have to
Mhm.
lie, like politics.
Yeah.
Like who would do that?
Yeah. Like a lot of people would do that.
No, no, I'm being facetious. I'm
and
being
and do that on a regular basis though. That's a thing, right?
yeah, and get excited about it.
Yeah, that motivates them to do something in life. Yeah, that happens. So yeah, the whole catfishing stuff is like an industry now. There are like corporations that work on catfishing people.
Mm.
So for example, right, if I could convince you that you sort of love me, right, and my
Mm-hmm.
birthday, I would deliberately change my birthday to be like in within like 10-20 days. So I would say 25th November is my birthday. What are you going to get me?
Okay, and
And you would
then
spend a lot of money getting something for me. It
I could
might
see
be
that working for a girl, maybe,
yeah.
if she's young and pretty. But a guy,
Yeah,
I
because
guess
a
there's some
guy,
lonely girls
yeah, because if someone is freshly divorced or something, and that those are the
when they're
typical people
vulnerable.
that get targeted. Yeah, so they get
Uh,
targeted a lot. So they would say, like, I want to marry you or whatever, right? Or
mm,
they would act as like the guardian of that person, and yeah, once you're convinced, you're fucked.
just don't give them all
Yeah,
your money. Keep your money, honey.
they
Mhm.
will take it though. There are cases where they drained whole savings accounts and
Wow.
investments. Yeah, millions of dollars.
Because
That
they took
happens.
advantage of someone. I mean, they had to have had their bank account or some information. I guess you could
People
get that
gave
over
them.
time, like date of
Exactly.
birth and
Yeah.
yeah,
And if someone is just
yeah,
stupid, they would straight up ask them,
yeah,
like, like, can I have access to this credentials?
yeah. I can see that. But that is
Yeah.
kind of,
That's kind of
but you
shitty.
know that their life is going to be, their life is already bad. Like they're
Yeah. You
already
made
going
it
through
just
things.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is like living in the moment. But
Hmm.
then what are the consequences for
Yeah.
later on in life, right?
Hmm.
Like you're going to have to suffer your entire life for
Yeah.
something over a couple of hundred or a couple of $1,000s.
Yeah,
That's a big
it's
risk.
almost like that, right? When people want to propose, and they have a
Mhm.
mariachi band, and the girl says no, and the mariachi band starts playing.
And it was kind of premature. Well, I've never been somewhere where they said no. Have you been somewhere that she said no? Like at a
I
restaurant or something?
I never asked
Really?
anybody. Yeah.
No, not you. Have you ever been somewhere like at a
Oh
restaurant
yes,
eating and somebody
yes,
proposed and the person said no?
yes. And they had like timed fireworks and everything,
Oh, oh,
and it's
wow.
just fucking
He should
awkward.
have planned a little differently. Yeah, okay. Like
Yeah,
you
you know,
spent all that
people.
money.
Yeah, people even plan out blackouts, like electrical blackouts.
Uh-huh.
So they would take the whole grid out,
Mm.
just so that few lights would be there. Um,
For
yeah,
a proposal?
yeah. And if she says no,
Well, American
you're
men need to
fucked.
up their game then.
Yeah, definitely.
And nobody did no
Yeah.
blackout for me. No, I'm just kidding.
So did you want to like disrupt the whole grid system?
I know. We just, I guess I'm not good enough considering what goes
Yeah,
on. I didn't know it was like that.
yeah.
Mm.
People do that, and it's so awkward in that moment because the girl cannot walk away at that point of time. Like she has to
Yeah.
stand there, and the guy cannot do anything. And he or she, whoever is getting. Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. That happens.
Okay.
So the other person had a lot of friends around them,
Hmm.
and it would just be like everyone looking at each other,
That's
right?
embarrassing though. Yeah.
I will literally like die from that, cringe, right? Like there is no
So they
comeback
don't
after that.
ask, but then you don't ask them, like, if I propose to you, like, I'm thinking about, like, there's no conversation in the dating phases that.
I don't know. I don't know. You know what's crazier though? I'm seeing this trend in India now. Those people who get arranged marriage, right? So
Hmm.
they meet up through their parents, and they agree to marry.
Hmm.
Those guys also propose. I'm like, what the fuck is the purpose?
It's like it's already been worked out and you know that it's a yes.
Yeah, like why are you proposing? And like that. Of course, the
So I
lady
know
has to
some
act
people in arranged
surprised.
marriages. I'm gonna ask them. I'm like, well, did you get
Yeah,
proposed to her? I'm gonna ask
yeah.
and see.
And the woman has to act surprised. They're like, oh my god, I did not know you're proposing. We're getting fucking
You
married in
know it's
20
already
days.
been worked out. It's entertainment. It helps us have a nice story and a cool picture to take.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know we are getting married in like 20 days, but I did not know you were proposing
Yeah.
this soon.
Well, you're gonna be getting married pretty soon. I think it might be in your story.
I
You
don't
don't
think
think you
so.
get married?
No, not yet. Because there is no prenup in India.
So you don't want a prenup? You want to marry someone rich?
No, I want a prenup.
Oh, you go. Oh,
Irrespective
and
of.
you can't get a prenup.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because marriage is like a religious, spiritual thing.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
sharing of it all, including all your
Yeah, of it
money.
all. So yeah.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
the trend in India right now. A lot of people don't want to get married
A lot of
because of,
men because of
yeah,
the
men
prenup,
and
or
women.
even women.
Yeah,
Okay.
prenups. There is no prenups.
Which is interesting. In the US, we
Yeah.
don't even, I mean, only stars get prenups or
Uh-huh.
people who have billions of dollars, but
Yeah, but you
normal
can see
people
the
don't.
trend, right? More and more people are getting prenups.
Not in the US, not that I've heard about. Maybe it is a trend,
Yeah.
but I just haven't heard about it.
Well,
Because I
lawyers
deal
would
with
like
regular
research more.
people, not like famous people. Famous,
No,
that's
even
like
regular people.
so India, you guys are like famous people because that's what happened.
Yeah.
In the US, famous
Hmm.
people get that stuff done.
Yeah.
Entertainers get it, but not like
Hmm.
regular people like me. So you
Yeah.
guys are upper class.
Yeah. In India, like
Hmm.
lot of even regular people are
Hmm.
like, let me get a prenup because they have seen enough horror stories.
Just like when they go through the divorce and
Yeah.
now is there with the divorce in India, does the women get half?
No more than that.
So she might even get more. Oh, this might.
So the
So,
law is
ladies,
you
if
can
you're
demand
looking
as
for
much as you want.
someone,
Yeah. So the law says a woman can demand as much as she wants. So if you said,
Oh.
like, give me like 80%,
So all
yeah,
my ladies out there that are listening, I don't
move
know.
to
You might
India.
want to find you an Indian man, move there,
Yeah,
stay there for a couple of years. You're set. You get to demand what you want.
yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah,
may give up this feminist stuff then.
yeah,
I'm just
definitely.
kidding.
Yeah, so that's the kind of
Hmm.
system, but like, there is always happy endings, for people, hopefully, even for those who got fucked the first time over through a
Yeah,
divorce, right?
you would think. Yeah,
Hopefully, yeah,
yeah,
hopefully there is a good exit. Yeah, that's kind of weird in India when you compare to US, because in US it almost looks like relations are almost like a contract.
yeah.
Yeah,
And some of marriages are really, literally a
yeah,
contract. So
yeah.
about ways you can behave and not behave.
Hmm. There is this prenup lawyer who went on another podcast, and he was saying, um, there was this rich person, right, marrying a lady,
Mhm.
and he was scared that the woman would put on weight once she got married, because they were affluent, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the prenup, right, he put up a condition saying, every pound that you gain, I'm going to take away $10,000 from your maintenance, post divorce.
Oh,
She had to
that's
maintain a particular
interesting.
weight, and
Yeah.
she the funny thing is, she had to go to the lawyer's office every month to be weighed.
Mm.
So they would record her weight every month.
So I wonder, does she get to put something on him that says like every time you're not
Mhm.
exceptionally in a certain area, then
Yeah.
you lose $10,000?
No, but she had asked for guaranteed alimony, not,
Yeah.
apart from the support.
And that was
He was going to
his
give some
weight.
certain amount. Yeah. So he was like,
Ugh.
yeah. So he was very afraid, because his first wife put on a lot of weight once she got married.
Mm.
So
Oh,
he
so
was
I can
like,
see now part of that
yeah. So he
story
he
coming out.
he.
Just
I don't
bringing
think he had.
old stuff to new relationships. See how we never deal with stuff? We just bring our old
Yeah.
stuff and keep on going.
I don't
It's
think
so
he ever
backwards.
healed from obesity, right?
No, he's bringing it. He's still bringing it into the current relationship.
Yeah. And those are the kind of like prenups, right,
Hmm.
that people have. There was another, the same, attorney was saying that, there was one more, couple, right, where the man had put up a condition that every time you scratch my car, I'm going to deduct this much.
Oh, are you being real? You're
Yeah,
just making stuff up. You can
those are
do
the.
that. A car is like
Yeah,
joint property at some point.
yeah, but no, they, in the prenup it was very clear that that particular car, right, it
Mm.
was, I think, 63, 64 Mustang, right, which is very, expensive and attractive. He is like, every time you put up a scratch, or you make any damage to that, I'm going to take this much money off.
Deducted. Mm.
Yeah,
I should come up with some crazy prenup kind of
yeah.
ideas.
Hmm. You could probably go for per breath deduction, like every time you breathe.
Every time you breathe. I was thinking about, well, what about like every time you cook
Hmm.
and I don't like it, then
Damn.
you owe me an extra $10,000.
But the question is, each would that like quantifiable? Like, how would you define taste?
I would define taste by what I like to eat, and I would give you a list of the things. And
Hmm.
if you
No,
went
but that would be
out of the
singular,
list,
right? But that would be
hmm
singular. Like, only you can define your taste, not anybody else. But weight and scratch and like these things are like quantifiable by everybody.
so every time you make something that's not a salad, then you owe
Yeah,
me $1,000.
yeah, they would be cooked.
Yeah. Hmm.
The person would be absolutely fucked.
Or men gain weight every time you gain a pound.
Yeah. What would be the
I can see what you mean by
result?
quantity. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be the result every time you gain a pound? You give me
I
what?
it, You give me a foot massage.
Yeah, nice. That is something that's doable.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were going to say every pound equals $1 million.
Well, we have to be creative because everything doesn't have to be money. But then, are there other creative ways that we can encourage behavior, like what you were asking
Mhm.
earlier in terms of
Yeah.
psychology? If you knew psychology, what could you do to encourage
Hmm.
behavior?
Yeah.
So, if you found out what the person liked, could you use that?
Yeah. But let me ask you this, right? If two people are getting into a relation using prenup, right? Like that's what they're doing,
Hmm.
right? They're using a contract to get into a relation. Do you think that also kind of um, works as like a building blocks of building wall between each other? Like there are stuff that you cannot share with other person because of this whole cloud of prenup that exists.
It makes me think of trust, like what you
Hmm.
said. Like there's something there that makes you think, why do I need a prenup? And
Yeah.
there's something going on in the relationship where trust still is not, is still being worked through. And I don't know if
Hmm.
it's like a bad or good thing, but there's something in terms of trust. And yeah, people can change even though you feel like you trust the whole
Hmm.
relationship. At the end of the relationship, a whole nother personality can come out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, the prenup lawyers would say it's good, right?
Because they're getting
They're like,
paid. They have a
yeah,
benefit. It's a
because
win
I
for
have
them.
heard them, and their kind of argument, right, to this whole debate as it it puts a very clear structure to how this
Hmm.
relationship is going to evolve, right? And you have like space for exponential positive growth, but you don't have an exponential fall into negativity because it hits a certain point, you just the prenup gets activated, so it
Okay.
kind of acts as a stop loss, in your investment. That's their argument.
Well, that's a financial way of kind of looking at things.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
definitely.
kind of like India's prenup thing. Now you got me thinking about, they
Dude,
don't have no
no.
prenups, but she says I
No.
want 80%. She gets it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
she
ooh, that's
gets it.
kind of enticing.
Yeah. But recently courts are like, because this is getting ridiculous, so courts are like getting stricter with
Uh-huh.
alimony,
Okay.
because there was this lady who was claiming 99% of the man's income, and court was like, are you fucking like like
How's he gonna
serious?
survive? Yeah.
Yeah. And she was earning, I think, 3000% more than the man, and the court was like, no, you don't
Uh,
need it.
yeah. Good. Because
Yeah.
yeah, he has to survive too.
Yeah. But it's almost like in India, this whole alimony is more like a revenge, as you said in earlier, right?
I think
you
so.
know it's
So, do you
just
find
revenge.
women who are asking for the divorce, though, they don't ask for alimony?
um do they exist? That's
Let's
the
say she's
question.
married and she meets somebody else and she falls in love with somebody else. So she asks her husband
Well,
for a
that's legal.
divorce.
Extramarital affair is legal, so they would still ask the money.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
she would still be able to have her boyfriend and her husband?
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you get married like five
Liking it
six
more and
times,
more. The more you tell me about it, I don't
yeah,
know.
there are pro divorce women here, like people who have got divorced like 10, 12 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
At some point, you should just
There
say,
was a
maybe
judge.
I shouldn't divorce.
No, but
Like, I shouldn't
they're purely
marry
in it for
either.
money, right? Because in India, marriage is
Ah,
legal if it lasts for 90 days.
okay.
Like you don't have to sleep, or there is no other criteria. If you are married for 90 days, you're fucked. So you essentially have 90 days to void a marriage. So what these people do
Okay.
is, right, they would marry somebody, and they would
Mhm.
fight, right, and they'd get
Okay.
angry. They'd go to their mother's house and do nothing for 90 days, and at the 90-day
Ah,
mark they would file for divorce. with saying that
Okay.
there was a domestic abuse because they left the marriage on the first day of the marriage.
Wow.
So there was this
Ah.
you know judge, right, in a court, um, where the same judge gave 13 divorce hearings to the same lady.
Hmm.
And there is this clip in social media where he says, again you again, like 12
Mm.
times in
Hmm.
like 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
And then the judge had to put some kind of condition that you won't get married again.
At least the laws are staying up to date. I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably a lot more, probably have to
Mhm.
go in a lot more directions, but that
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah, but at least in US you're not as fucked as an Indian.
I never heard that before.
Right? I mean, just
No.
imagine being able to get away with whatever you ask multiple times.
So that may be the challenge for the ego. Does she then
Mm.
continue to take advantage of the situation, or does
Yeah,
she do kind of like what's morally right? Like there
I
has
don't
to be
think so.
some women that are not taking advantage of that, that really love and
Maybe,
want to be
yeah.
with their husband.
Hmm.
It
Maybe,
doesn't sound
yeah.
like you're hearing a lot of good stories in terms of that.
Definitely not. And it's especially with expats, right? Like who immigrate to US or some other countries, and
Mhm.
women get married to them because they have dollars, and they get screwed in dollars.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Because a
Hmm.
dollar is like 80 local currency, 80 rupees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a kind of
Interesting.
challenge. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully not everybody's relationship ends in fire. Burnt.
Let's
I
hope
hope it
not. I
doesn't burn in
believe that
crack.
people can still be married for 50 plus years.
Yes, hopefully so. Yeah, but thank you so much for being here. I would like to
Thank
say
you.
that you are a well-versed person, right? Because you were able to get into a lot of nooks and crannies that people would definitely avoid, right? So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank
And
you.
could you let us know how we could get in contact, right? If
So,
our relations got fucked or something.
so, well, you have to be in the US in order to do
Hmm.
psychotherapy. But I also do hypnosis, and I can do that internationally and
Hmm.
worldwide. So if you're interested in hypnosis, that could be available. But I did write a book. It's
Hmm.
called Heal the Mind: Seven Strategies Towards Mental Wellness, Happiness, and Success. It's available on Amazon. And then you can find me on Instagram at Holistic Clinician.
Hmm. Correct. And that's the best
Yeah,
way to contact you, right?
yeah. Hmm.
Sure. So, guys, her all of her social media links and also the book link will be in the description. Whether you're on Spotify, Amazon Music, or YouTube, anywhere, you will be able to find it in the description. So just go and just talk to her. She seems like a nice human being. um, so yeah, just go and talk to her. Hopefully she could help you with a lot of stuff that you are going through. And thank you, Tonya, once again for being here. And to my audience, guys, this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you find your partner very soon in the future. And until next episode, thank you and take care.